Thompson.
I got some extra pep in my step because the Jets finally won a fucking football game. So I'm not wearing the goddamn Jets shirt anymore. I'm wearing a normal Jets tee. And it feels pretty damn good. And we were out there. We saw it. They made us sweat, of course. It wasn't easy. They were up 21-6 at half. And Meyer drills a 62-yarder at half. I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is really going to go down like this. And then, of course, in the second half, we only score a field goal because we like to make games close when they shouldn't be. And Darnold threw a big pick down the stretch, but outstanding day from Big Sam. 338 yards, 2 touchdowns. Robbie Anderson with the play heard around the NFL, 92 yards, and it was an absolute bomb. Beautiful play. Just shows how well Anderson can play when he has a real quarterback throwing the ball to Luke Falk. His numbers were horrible with Falk as the whole team struggled, and you saw the difference as Sam injected life into the Jets they desperately needed. We're now 1-4. We have a lot of work to do, and next week is Patriots week, so we're going to have a big preview video for Jets-Patriots coming on later in the week.
Yep, absolutely. This game against the Cowboys, it's just, you know what, when the start of the game, the crowd was into it. We were there. It was like 50-50 Cowboys fans.
Nauseating stuff.
I will say this. The Jets came out and really played well. Sam Darnold, having Sam Darnold back on the field is a complete difference for the Jets. He was making plays. It just looks like he hasn't even missed a beat. Comes in. He gets rid of the ball quicker. I've noticed that. I noticed that on Sunday. Robbie Anderson played exceptionally well. That long pass, 92 yards, was open for days. The secondary of the Cowboys could not stay with the receivers. And this receiving corps for the Jets is banged up. They don't have Anunwa anymore. Demaryius Thomas, you don't know what you're getting with him.
He was pretty solid, though, at 60 yards.
Yeah, he was pretty solid. He did have he caught the first pass of the game. He did, yep. On that,
Crowder played real well.
Well, here's the thing. Crowder with Sam Darnold, we saw week 1, he could average like 9 catches for almost 100 yards. Well, he hasn't had 100 yards yet. He's been close.
99 and 98, I'm pretty sure.
But
so it's coming.
He's that guy who Sam Darnold looks for to get yards. He's like that slot guy who he's got that security blanket.
Yeah, he was in witness protection with Luke Falk, as our whole offense was. Yeah. But it's good to see that he's alive again.
Yep. So
like our team is for now.
The whole game, the Jets were just so much better than Dallas. The one thing I will say is the Jets defense came to play. The defensive line was dominant. The secondary did its job.
Quinnen played real well. That was his best game as a pro.
Quinnen had that stop on 4th and 2.
Real happy to see.
I will say this.
Jenkins had a sack.
Yes, Jenkins had a sack. Tremaine Johnson and Darryl Roberts did play well. We
got helped with the Cooper injury.
Yep. Amari Cooper only played 3 plays and then was out with a quad injury. That guy just can't stay on the field. When he's on the field, he makes plays, but you got to hope he stays healthy. But other than that, the whole game, the Jets were playing exceptionally well, scoring touchdowns. Le'Veon Bell got his first rushing touchdown as a Jet. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
I can't believe that took this
long. But the one thing that shocked me is he only had 1 catch for 3 yards. He wasn't even targeted that much in the receiving game.
Yeah, it seemed to be the focus was really on Robbie and Crowder on Sunday. Also, Griffin had the touchdown, but other than that, he didn't really have much action. Demaryius, we talked about already, but yeah, I'd like to see Bell get more involved in the passing game. I definitely would. And he normally is. That was pretty stunning. And the Cowboys did a good job with Bell. He didn't really go crazy on them. It was Darnold that really got the victory for the Jets. So it's a good win. We have more work to do. Good news and bad news. And then we'll move on because there's a lot of other stuff to talk about. Osemele, our guard, who we traded from for the Oakland Raiders, is going to be out for the season with shoulder surgery. He will be done. Alex Lewis has played admirably in his spot. He will be the guard going forward. And also got Chumba, who played pretty solid at the tackle position. So the Jets line is starting to look a lot better. Big thing that you said as well, Darnold only got sacked twice, which is a major improvement from what was going on the other games.
No, his protection was absolutely tremendous. If you and the one thing too is he helped the offensive line too. He didn't hold the ball. He got rid of the ball quick.
He made them look better than they actually are,
but
for sure.
With Osemele's injury, he injured that weeks ago.
Week 5,
and the team
yeah.
also said that they liked Alex Lewis better. They're starting.
He was
they were,
trending in the right
They were
direction.
leaning towards him, even if he was healthy.
Right.
So the one thing is,
That's not, yeah.
you know
that's
what?
good.
It's upsetting because he was a big part of your off-season plans.
Mhm.
But the fact that this guy Lewis came in and is really doing well should really make Jets fans very happy.
I'm upset for Assembly. He's a good guy. He signed the ball for
Oh, no, he's a very good guy.
It's just a shame what happened, but I'm happy for Lewis. He's been playing well, so he's going to have to step in. And we'll talk more next week about next week. But one thing I got to say, let's get this out of the way now. This was the only correct pick I actually made over Bobby. So that's why we're leading with it. Because the rest of my picks did not look too hot. I was all over the map with this one.
It's a crazy Sunday.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happened, and it wasn't too favorable for me except this game. So we go to a game in the area, sort of. Philly and Minnesota. I was dead wrong on this one. I remember you saying the Vikings would take care of business, and that's exactly what happened.
It was coming. It was just coming.
They won by 3 possessions. Vikings move on to 4-2. Philly 3-3, and now they have a big matchup next week against the Cowboys, who are also dropped to 3-3. So the winner will be in front in the NFC East.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you take away from this Eagles-Vikings game? Cousins is coming back to life a little bit. Do you think he's actually playing better? Or do you think it's just the bad secondary he's faced the last 2 weeks?
Well, I think it's a mixture of both because the Eagles secondary is just absolutely god awful.
Yeah, we couldn't expose.
It's been god awful for 3 years now. So, look. They need to get Stephon Diggs involved.
This was the get-right game for him.
This was the game where nobody on that field could cover him, and he proved it. He had 7. I saw 2 things. He had 7 catches or 9 catches. I don't know.
I saw 7 for 139, 3 touchdowns. I want to say.
I think you're right. I think it's 7, but I saw 167 and 3 scores. He could not be kept out of the end zone. I saw one where he was literally waiting in the end zone for at least 3 seconds, and no one was even by him. So this game, but I will say this: Kirk Cousins was.
Oh, you were right. It was 167.
Yeah,
it was 7 catches though.
It was. So Stephon Diggs came back to life. He showed you what he could do on the field. You just got to give him a chance. Kirk Cousins early in the year, I don't know why it wasn't thrown to him, but now you understand why you got to get him involved, and you can't just throw to Thielen. Stephon Diggs, I basically showed everybody in the NFL just how good he is. I don't care what secondary. I know the corners that were covering him could not even stay with him, but he proved that he's a top-tier receiver in this league. With the Eagles, I'm going to tell you, they got a problem, big time.
Right.
That defense is not what it used to be. The offense, I think, is too hot and cold. I really do. I think the Eagles 3-3, they shouldn't be 3-3. They should be a lot better than that. This game, in my opinion, they are much better than the Minnesota Vikings.
I thought so too. That's why I picked them.
Kirk Cousins outplayed Carson Wentz. That's embarrassing.
Why I thought the Eagles would have won. You're hitting on the reasons why I was going with Philly. At least making me look somewhat confident.
It's just
they didn't show up though.
Yeah, it was just it was disgusting to look at.
I'm
happy for. Well, here's the thing. I'm happy for Stephon Diggs because he shut everybody up. He showed everyone what he could do. But I'm kind of upset because I want him to get traded. So to my team, of course.
We're okay.
But
keep him over there.
But with this, the Vikings came out angry. I said this, right? They're going to come out angry. Stephon Diggs is going to be pissed off.
You did.
He's going to take it out on the Eagles, and that's exactly what he did. And going forward, I hope that defense is game planned for Diggs because you expect him to get the ball a lot more now.
Yeah, you finally saw what they were waiting to see. And we'll talk about a few more games and we'll cut to commercials. You also want to go through the Ramsey news and the Marcus Peters trade?
Yes, let's do it.
You want to do that now?
Yes, let's do it.
We could go through that. So, could have started with this, but it's all right. The Rams acquired Jalen Ramsey tonight. This is a blockbuster by every word of it. 2 first-rounders and a 4th. They get one of the best corners in the game. They also send Marcus Peters packing to Baltimore for a linebacker who was from UCLA. Kenny Young. So, they got some shuffling parts going on. Big-time trade for the Rams, who go down again to the 49ers. Another game you had over me. Good segue there, 20-7, and they just didn't have it. This 49ers team is for real. I'm all in now. This is going to be a playoff team. Not many I don't know if this ever happened. Has a team ever started 5-0 and not made it?
I'm not really sure actually, but they are. I will say this: is they are for real.
100% for real.
Their defense is just absolutely dominant.
Mm-hmm.
I love one thing I love watching is first of all defensive line for the 49ers.
It's ridiculously good.
Solomon Thomas, Nick Bosa,
D Ford,
Armstead, oh my God, I forgot they had D Ford.
Yeah, I forget he's over there sometimes.
The one thing is they have a young core for a long time. So that front seven is very good, especially they got Kwan Alexander at the linebacker position. Their secondary, Richard Sherman, Jimmy Ward is very underrated. They're a good team. They got youth, and they're going to be good for a long time. I love the D coordinator. I forgot his name, the bald-headed guy. Gets pumped up. Love it.
I'm trying to think. I don't know.
To talk about this right now with the Rams had a problem, and their problem was defense. They placed Aqib Talib on IR with a rib injury. He's out for 8 weeks. So earlier in the day, they traded Marcus Peters to the Ravens. And I'm going to say this right now. Here's why I think they did this. They did this because they felt that Marcus Peters wasn't everything they hoped he'd be. In 1 year with them, he was good. I think the Ravens made a great move. Absolutely, they did.
I mean, yeah, they could use the help.
The Ravens secondary now with Marlon Humphrey and now Marcus Peters. Now you have a secondary to build on for years to come because they're both in their young 20s.
Right.
So, great job by the Ravens. You went out and you got your guy. Now you have 2 corners that could shut 2 receivers down. There you go. Mm-hmm. Now, in regards to Jalen Ramsey, it was just a matter of time.
It was a matter of
I did not expect this. I thought the Chiefs were going to get him. I love every second that the Chiefs did not get him.
I know why you do.
Of course.
I'm a little upset about it.
But here's the thing with Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey just made the Rams defense a lot better. He did.
No, for sure.
So, with this, Jules, is you know why they also made this trade?
Why else?
Because they realized that in San Francisco and the Seahawks, they don't have those receivers that could kill you, but they just got a player that could help them win games.
Yeah.
They just got arguably a top 5 corner in the game, and I'm going to say he's number 2 behind my guy, Stephon Gilmore, and I think you could agree with me on that.
I have to concede at this point because Ramsey ain't been that hot so far.
So Ramsey missed 3 games with that back injury. That's all bullshit.
He'll be ready to go for the Rams. I'm guessing.
You're damn right he's going to be ready to go. And they're playing Sunday against I forgot who.
They're playing the Falcons. It looks like.
So let me tell you.
It's going to be a possible get-right game for the Rams.
Who's he going to cover?
Julio and he needs to get going as well. So that's what's going on over there. But actually, go ahead.
So real quick, I'm going to say both teams that they traded with, both teams won. This one for both parties. Except the one thing with the Rams, they don't have a first-round pick till 2022.
That's a big problem.
So that's going to be an issue. So Sean McVay and Les Snead and the Rams organization is taking a huge risk, but they're getting a high reward. Also, another thing with Jalen Ramsey, he is going to be a free agent this year.
Right. So they're going to pay him and all that.
And the Rams just, I guess that, you know what, money grows on trees in LA, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know how they get to pay all these players.
No, I don't understand it either.
Got the issue. All right, so how many guys are getting paid from this Rams team? You got Jared Goff, who's an absolute train wreck, who I really want to talk about. He had 3.3 yards per attempt, and he didn't even get 100 yards. What is going on with Jared Goff? This is going to be a huge issue. What are you seeing out of him? I'm not seeing anything, to be honest with you.
The offense, the one thing you got to blame it. You could point the finger at Jared Goff, which I am. He's making a lot of shitty decisions.
At this point.
But his offensive line is atrocious. There's no depth. It's not what it was last year. Okay. And he holds on to the ball very long.
I've noticed that sometimes.
He does not get the ball out quickly. In this league, if you don't have a dominant offensive line like the Cowboys used to have, you're not going to win games. Like, let me give you an example. Brady right now, Tom Brady, his offensive line, the Patriots' offensive line, lost a lot of key players. They lost Trent Brown last year. Isaiah Wynn is out for a couple weeks. Marshall Newhouse is an old man. I think you could say this right now. If you ever notice when his offensive line is bad, what does he do? He gets the ball off quick.
Oh, yeah, Tom. Yeah, he's better than anyone at that, unfortunately.
So that's what you got to do. And the one thing with Jared Goff is he's got to learn how. And this is also another thing.
The Rams look lost when Todd Gurley hasn't played.
No, they don't. And that's one thing too. Is you got to this whole season where they announced that, with his arthritis in his knee, if he says he's okay to go, you got to work him into it. I understand you want to keep him going, but listen, you're paying the guy $52 million over 4 years. that big contract they gave him. He's the highest paid running back, for God's sake. You got to pay him. Oh, you got to play him.
How injured is he? Is he going to be back next week?
I think he'll be fine. But here's the thing, too.
They're being very cautious.
Did you see the one thing is Darrell Henderson, who hasn't touched the ball yet? When he got some carries, he made some plays.
Yeah, 6
They have a lot of high hopes for him. Malcolm Brown was looking good. But the one thing with Gurley, when he's in the game, everything changes. They game plan around him. They became, in a way, Jules, the Rams are becoming one-dimensional without him.
And that's a big problem for Goff.
You jam up on the receivers and you pressure Goff, and they're done. Take your chances with Henderson and Brown. They're not what Gurley brings to the table, but they make them one-dimensional, and the 49ers defense proved that otherwise. So